Hi, I'm Bob Ethington.
And I'm Nick Nicholas.
And this is From Akron and Beyond. Well, hello there, folks, and we are back, and we're excited today for today's episode. We have a gentleman on who we wanted to have on the show. He was on our original list of people that we were going to hopefully be able to bring in and
our
talk
top
with.
10.
And now he's going to wonder what number he is on the 10. Well, we'll use Nick's top 10 number, which means it could be 1, 10 or whatever. That's an old. You have to have been a regular listener to the show to know what we're talking about there. But anyway, Malcolm Abram is here. He is the music writer, entertainment writer for the Plain Dealer. And I originally got to know Malcolm when he was working for the Akron Beacon Journal. And since then, he worked for Earthquaker for a while. And now he's been, I think, happily ensconced in the Cleveland Plain Dealer. So, hi, Malcolm.
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
And by the way, it's cleveland.com/The Plain Dealer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right. Okay.
And I so enjoyed your writing over the years. You know, I've known you since you got here, but your reviews were you're like a breath of fresh air as far as critics go at rock music critics, period, here in Akron.
Thank you very much.
In fact, never realized how much I missed you until a few weeks ago. Bob and I went to see Bob Dylan at the Civic, and I missed those days where, the next day we could have the review,
Yeah, those were the days. And how was Bob?
It was a great show. Great show.
Yeah, we enjoyed it very much. But anyway, let's leave Bob Dylan alone for a while, for once, and get back to our guest. So, Malcolm, speaking of your coming to Akron, you're originally from California, am I right?
Born and raised in Oakland, California, yes.
Okay. And when you were growing up and stuff, like, what were your musical? I mean, how did you first get into music? Like, what was the first thing that kind of caught your attention?
I'm an only child, so I had a lot of time on my hands. But I also have a big family and had a lot of older cousins.
Yeah.
So as they were getting into music as teenagers, I would steal their records and listen to what they would listen to.
Right. Yeah.
And then my mom had a bunch of records, a bunch of jazz records and old R&B and stuff. And eventually, as I started getting into music, I was like, oh, here's a crap ton of records right here I should be listening to.
Right.
So I would just started absorbing whatever, anything I could find. I started off with whatever was on the radio when you're a little kid. It's like, all right, that's the sound of now. That's cool.
Yeah,
same here.
And then it just expanded. I had cousins who were really into hard rock. That got me into hard rock. Got another cousin who's into singer-songwriter type stuff. She's sang and likes pretty melodies. And I get into that stuff. And then my other cousin was into early rap. And so Run DMC, that's cool. So yeah, I got a lot of it from other people. And as that was happening, as you all remember, because you're older than me, there was a, Midnight Special, Kirshner's rock concert.
Oh, yeah, sure, right, yeah.
I learned so much from those shows. Those shows were great.
Yeah.
I'm, a 7-year-old staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning so I can watch Don Kirshner's rock concert.
Right.
And I learned a lot from those shows, and it just grew from there.
There really aren't shows like that anymore.
There really
I don't think so.
No. I mean, it kind of went from those programs, which were sort of in the old variety show mode in a way, and then, I mean, a variety of musical artists from all kinds of different styles and stuff. And then, of course, MTV came. And
also very important.
And, yeah.
For me.
Yeah, okay.
Probably the closest is Austin City Limits, right? But they're not the same.
Because they feature one band or two.
One or two bands.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's a great show. But like, as Malcolm, as you were saying, to learn about music, this was a chance for you to see a band play one or maybe two songs.
Yeah, see 4 bands play a couple songs. And you go, holy moly, that's great.
Right.
Who are those guys?
Right.
Yeah.
And, as you're talking about how you were first getting into music, it reminds me of a phenomenon I've noticed with our various guests, which is there's kind of like 2 different people. One is the kids who, when they were growing up, their parents hated everything about their music, and they hated everything about their parents' music, or at least there was no connection, right, between the two. And then there's the ones who learned a lot from their parents' collections or their
relatives
or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it was simpatico enough that they could get something out of that. And there's no right or wrong to either one of those. It's just how you grow up, but it's interesting.
However you get there.
Yeah.
As long as you get there.
Right. And that is interesting also, because one thing I've always noticed about with you is that you do seem to have a real wide variety of taste.
Yeah.
And that was reflected just with even what you were saying you were exposed to as a kid, Yeah. So
try to keep those ears open.
Yeah.
Do you still get promos from? I know I spoke to Brad about this. How the radio stations used to always have a ton of stuff. The promo. Do you still get those as a writer?
You get links now.
Oh,
it's not nearly as fun.
They just link you to something online, and you listen to it.
You get links to secure streams. Sometimes you get to download, and it'll be watermarked, and it's not as fun.
Yeah,
No
right,
kidding.
right. You can't have those cool collectible items with the promo labels on them and stuff.
Click the link and sit at your laptop or your desktop, and
right.
not quite as cool.
Yeah.
I remember in the old days when I had Clone Records, some of the labels thought I was actually a record store, and I'd get weird promo stuff. I remember I got a 6-foot tall stand-up of a muscle builder, bodybuilder, promoting Squeeze album. So I mean, I guess those days are definitely gone.
Afraid so. Nick's dream of having a stand-up of himself will never come to pass.
Well, I do have a little Blondie stand-up that's like 6 inches tall that I love.
Yeah. Well,
never mind.
You love it in a very deeply personal way. I understand there. So, Malcolm, okay, so you're in California. I'm assuming then you must obviously start working in journalism there.
I was on the high school paper, yeah.
Okay. So there's a gap here. So where did you go from there that ended up getting you a job at the Akron Beacon Journal?
I went to school at Morehouse in Atlanta.
Okay.
And then when I eventually graduated from there, I needed a job.
Yeah.
And so I went to the Macon Telegraph, also in Georgia, 80 miles south of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I worked there for 4 years. And that was a Knight Ridder paper back when Knight Ridder was a thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And my wife at the time, after some time in year 4, was like, look, we need to get the hell out of here. This New South, Old South, I don't care. I'm done.
Okay.
And thankfully, I guess, who left? Am I right after Chuck?
Chuck Klosterman, yeah.
Right after Chuck. And, Chuck exited for Stardom.
Yeah.
And I applied and got the job.
Okay, very interesting. So you were in the Knight Ridder world already. Yeah.
He was a member of the Knight Ridder family.
Yeah.
Minus the money.
Yeah. Sorry. And boy, something that's come up with various of our guests over the year that we've been doing this program has been, the changes in media and stuff, obviously. And, of course, newspapers are probably one of the biggest examples of that, and how they were, we've had people that worked for the Beacon Journal on, and they just talk about, what it was like when they first started. You're of even the right age to kind of almost have seen that.
I think I was the last generation of copy boys.
Okay, yeah, right.
Somebody yells, "Copy!" anywhere in the world, I still wince. Okay? Like it's still in there. Like,
That's great.
And nobody's taking the dummies down to composing anymore because neither of those things exist.
Even exist, right? Yeah, it's just completely changed. Yeah, I was a librarian, and the libraries have changed a lot too. I mean, when I first started, there really was no internet yet, and so you had to learn what all the different reference books were to be able to answer people's questions. All stuff now that you would just look up on your phone and have the answer in a second.
Yep.
So a total change in what that job was.
Then you just became keeping people from watching porn.
Yeah, right. Exactly. How long has that guy been in the bathroom? That kind of a thing. What's that guy doing with that little blondie stand-up?
It's for art.
So, okay. Well, anyway, that's really interesting. So, you kind of had a sort of comet-like rise to fame here.
Going back,
Is that what you call that?
well, going back to Macon.
Comet might not be the right word.
What did you do? What was your position in Macon?
I started out as general reporting because that's where everybody started back then.
Yeah.
And then I waited and bided my time and started writing music and entertainment. And we had a weekly out and about section, and I edited that for a while. And went to shows, and Macon's, Allman Brothers, Capricorn Records,
Right.
Otis Redding, Lena Horne, although don't say that to her, and I know she's dead, I'm just saying. But Macon, kind of like Akron, would claim anybody who's
Slept there?
took a crap in there,
Yeah.
So and it did have a storied musical history, and so there was plenty to do. Way too much Lee Greenwood, but there was plenty to do.
I know Brad's going to play that.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
It was a good time.
So then you come to Akron, a place that, had you ever been here before?
No.
Yeah, okay. So it was kind of a whole learning curve there, just, a new place to live and navigate and figure out and stuff, right? Yeah.
But, when I first got here, people, hey, where'd you go to school? Where you been here? Why are you here? And then I'd tell them my little story, and they'd be like, man, it must be an amazing, shift. What is it when you go somewhere and get used to being somewhere new?
Yeah. Acclimate.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Going from Macon to Akron.
Yeah,
Right,
but it actually, if I had come from Atlanta to Akron, I probably would have been more of a stark difference and taken more getting used to. But coming from Macon to Akron, it was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is almost a city.
Right. Exactly.
This is nice.
That'd be a good motto. Almost a city, Akron.
No.
Maybe not.
We have a new mayor. You got to be careful.
Yeah,
what you
right.
say.
That's right. So once you got settled in here, then now did you? We talk on this show probably almost too much about the history of local music and local bands and stuff, like the Bizarros, for instance. Were you aware of any of these bands when you got here, or did you kind of feel like you needed to, kind of do a deep dive and learn some of this stuff? Because I remember you mentioning in a very early piece Tin Huey. And I thought, well, that was amazing that he knows who Tin Huey is.
Harvey talked him into it.
Well, he called him, the day he got here.
We're here.
Well, when I was applying for the job, I, had the benefit of Google or Ask Jeeves or whatever the hell was going on in 2002.
Right.
And so I just looked stuff up.
Okay.
And, oh, Black Keys. All right.
right.
Lime Spider. All right. That looks like a place I'll probably spend a lot of time at. Right. And you guys probably came up in some Akron Devo, 80s kind of thing.
Right.
So, I listened to it and I was like, oh, nerds. Cool.
Right. That's an appropriate description, I would say. So now you were at the Beacon Journal for how many years?
17.
Oh, wow. That
Wow,
long.
that's
And a
why.
half-ish.
Yeah. Wow.
So you're like an institution.
Well,
No, seriously, a good one.
yeah. But you there were all the buyouts and stuff. Is that
Yes,
Yeah.
several.
Yeah, right. And they were kind of shrinking the staff, and so it was kind of like figuring out the right way to
Fire
go.
everybody.
Yeah,
Navigate leaving.
Yeah, exactly. And you ended up then working for Earthquaker, right? You kind of doing PR for them? Would that be a good way of putting it? Or?
I did the blog. I managed the blog and wrote a lot of the PR stuff,
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. And then,
releases and whatnot.
yeah. And then, so you did that for a couple years, 3 years?
18 months.
Okay. And then you go end up at the Plain Dealer or the Cleveland.com
/
/
And
Plain,
you could also say and the.
and the Plain Dealer. Okay. So, don't want to minimize that. Get that right. Heavy editing will be done to this show later. And that was interesting because tell me the story of how you got that job. Am I correct that they kind of contacted you?
Yeah, I got laid off at Earthquaker, and I was trying. When I left the paper, when I left the Beacon, I told myself, "All right, that's it. Your journalism career is over. Time for phase 2."
Right.
And so I kind of tried to purposely just let go. Like I don't know who's got a new record. I don't know who's hip and happening. I don't care. I'm listening to my old jazz records. To me, And and they called me. And they're like, "Hey, you want a job?" "Yes, please, God, yes." Because I had no plan. I had nothing else. I literally don't know what else I could do. Earthquaker taught me that I could do something else with words, but it's still words. I can't. I'm not gonna pivot and be a brain surgeon or a concrete layer.
Right. Yeah.
I kind of got the one skill.
Law school's probably not going to happen.
No, I got the one skill. So I was very happy about that.
Yeah. It's also like a fantastic thing. I remember when I heard about this, I thought like, how cool to actually have them come to you. I usually have had to beg for every job I've ever had. So, to have someone actually come the other way was
I think it's really
exciting.
cool too that he went to a bigger audience.
Yeah, right.
Not counting, the internet, of course, but a larger city.
Sure. Yeah. So you basically work from home, but then go into because you still live in Akron,
Yes.
of course. But then you go in to
The office.
Yes, a couple days a week or something. Yeah.
Make face and remember what everybody looks like.
And another thing that is lucky and fortunate for Malcolm in Cool is that he gets to go to shows all the time. He gets tickets for Taylor Swift concerts.
Yeah, now I go to him for free.
Yeah, look at that.
That's pretty good.
Some people would think that was the biggest part of the job, the biggest benefit.
It's a huge part of the job.
Yeah.
I went to more shows last year, and again, the Beacon stopped going to show years ago.
Yeah.
And then I was out of the business, so I hadn't been going to certainly not big shows for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And this last year, 2023, I went to more shows than I've been in the last 7 or 8 years. It was, and I'm not a spring chicken anymore, so
Right.
it feels more like work, or at least here's the thing: I love being at shows. I enjoy the show. It's the going and the parking,
Right.
and the coming home, and then staying up to write it late,
Right.
All that.
getting up early, which I don't enjoy doing. To write it early, like that part isn't as fun as it used to be.
Right.
But I still love going to shows, and I've seen a whole bunch of people I would never have paid money to see,
Do you go to?
and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Do you actually go to shows at the Beachland and Grog Shop too, or just
Mostly the big boys and girls.
Gotcha.
But the Smile came. The Agora. We do the Agora pretty regular.
Yeah, I saw you there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I love their new album. The new album by The Smile.
Yeah.
It's great. Wall of Eyes. Free ad for them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Tom York's very excited that I'm pushing his album here.
Earthquaker artist.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Him and Johnny.
Okay. That makes
Hey,
sense.
well, we had the girl from Earthquaker here,
Julie Robbins.
Julie, and guess Thurston Moore stopped by one time.
A lot of people have stopped by over the years.
Yeah, they have all the biggest names, really, guitars and stuff.
They actually stopped by, though, and check stuff out. That's cool.
Right. But, yeah, so you're writing reviews of these shows then? So this is, because Nick had mentioned earlier how you don't see that so much
No, I used
anymore.
to look forward to those.
Mm-hmm. But you can still look forward to them with the Cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer.
Hey,
Yeah.
If you're interested in the bigger shows specifically. But, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's people that would kill for that job just for the Taylor Swift tickets.
I had to go to Detroit for that.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. But, yeah, it's, I know what you mean, though, about the experience of concert going. As I'm getting older, it's like, well, first of all, I guess you're not having to worry about this aspect of it. I would also add in the incredible amount of work involved in buying a ticket and almost begging them to let you spend these exorbitant amounts of money.
Please take my money.
It's a whole new world now to try to get a ticket to something big.
Well, I mean, I saw that Mitzi was coming, but then it was like, we'll register to be in a pre-sale to get a chance to buy a ticket.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah, everybody's got a pre-sale, whatever they call their little fan club. And then City Card is also everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And
I just, go ahead.
And it's also really expensive.
Sure, right. And I don't know. I've had, luckily for me, the kind of music that I genuinely love usually was playing in smaller clubs.
They pay you to go.
And I mean, half the time you could probably just show up and buy your ticket when you got there. I was never that brave. If I was driving to Cleveland, I wanted to have a ticket before I got there. But yeah, it was a $10 ticket or $15, and I just went to a record store and bought it or something. I mean, it was not this complex strategies that were required
Byzantine labyrinth
to give them all this money. I just find it's degrading experience. I don't know.
Another interesting thing is now where you could pay a lot extra to shake the hand of a band member, and what's that called? Now it's
meet and greet.
Yeah,
the meet and greet.
Yeah. Whether it's before the show or after the show, it's more bucks.
Yeah, but it's after if it's after they're sweatier.
Which is what you're after.
Yeah,
what you want.
I never going to wash this hand. Yeah, I that thing, again, to me is sort of. There's been. We've all had the opportunity to meet some people that we really admire with music and stuff, and it's been. Just
normal.
Like dude standing at the bar or something, you go up and you kind of get a chance to talk for a second or whatever. But, to me, to pay to do that is a little degrading, I don't know.
You want to be in the orbit, man.
Yeah.
Just for that moment.
Yeah.
That is $300 to stay 3 feet away from Avril Lavigne. You get to be in the same room, though.
Jeez.
It's worth every penny. Well, hey, I'm Bob Ethington. I'm here with my co-host, Nick Nicholas, and our guest, Malcolm Abram, who is the entertainment writer. Is that the right way to call this?
Entertainment.
Music and entertainment writer for the Cleveland.com and Plain Dealer. And this is from Akron and beyond. And we're enjoying talking to Malcolm here, and I have a whole lot more questions for him, so look out.
Uh-oh.
How about you, Nick, though? You've been rather quiet over there.
Well, no, I just enjoyed ever since you had, I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name, Glenn Gamboa. Mm-hmm. And he was like, before him, there was another rock critic that was there for a brief period of time that was knowledgeable about all types of music. And then
I think Kevin Johnson.
Yeah.
Before
In
Glenn.
fact, I gave his name to Bob Kriskow one year when he did a poll. The Village Voice would do a poll at the end of the year of the top different critics of what their top 10 was, and I referred him to him. And then Gamboa, and then you. I mean, from what we had growing up as a kid to you guys, I mean, we learned a lot too. It wasn't just good writing and stuff. You educated us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of educating us, so we mentioned the band The Smile, sort of an offshoot of Radiohead. I really enjoyed that show. Did you?
I did.
Okay. I figured you would. Well, is there any other new music out there that's caught your ear lately?
I have to cheat because my memory is not what it used to be.
That's
and
clever
my
there,
brain
man.
is packed with names and bands and songs. And I knew this was coming. And usually when people ask me this, I go, for like 5 minutes before I can remember. Oh, yeah, I like this.
Is it written on a napkin?
It is written on something.
Hey!
All right. So among the folks, and these are, again, just the folks who came to mind. How new?
Well, to us, Eddie,
Okay, well,
20 years.
Well, for example, I really loved that Black Pumas record.
Oh, yeah.
Like, most of this
Okay.
stuff will be like last year's stuff.
That's fine.
There's stuff there's a lot of young new stuff that I kind of like. That I like in its context. Like, I wouldn't buy it,
Right.
but I would go see it.
Yeah.
Like Olivia Rodrigo.
Mm-hmm.
I like her. She's clever.
Yeah.
She seems smart. She's good turns of phrases and whatnot. And the music is, little punk poppy ragers and the piano ballads and all that stuff.
Right.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't own it. But when she comes, I look forward to seeing her. There's a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because, my brain is already packed with stuff. I
Yeah,
can't remember any new song lyrics. Like,
Right.
I literally can't. I can still sing all 30 minutes of Genesis Supper's Ready, but I couldn't tell you the chorus of the most popular song from last year. I don't have any room. All right, so to get back to your original question, I like the Jazz is Dead series of stuff
Okay.
that Adrian Young and Name are doing with all the old folks. I like that Janelle Monáe record. That's a sexy record. She got some new boobs and wants to share them with the world and made a sexy record to go along with it. That's pretty cool. That's
great.
There's this guitar player. He's all the rage on YouTube. Matteo Mancuso.
Okay.
Amazing technique and also good tunes. And it's it is mind-bogglingly amazing to watch them, but they're also good tunes, which is nice.
Right.
There's a lot of those YouTube guys who are just that is impressive.
Right.
I don't know what the melody you just
Right.
played.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's pointless.
I like a lot of those London jazz cats, like the Alchemists and Coco Roco, and our mutual friend Mark, who I put him onto that. He pointed out to me the other day, and he's right. They all have a very similar vibe, and it can get kind of samey. And it'd be nice if they maybe cross-pollinated with some other folks. But when you're in the mood for that vibe is great.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Shabaka Hutchinson, Sons of Kemet, and all those folks. I like those folks.
Yeah.
Let me see. No Name, rapper, poetess, really more of a spoken word kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like her music that goes with it. Yeah,
it's
really
cool.
smart, insightful especially for such a young person.
Yeah.
And clear-eyed. I like that.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of stuff on Bandcamp that I can always find something on Bandcamp before they ruin it, which they probably will. I don't even know how to say her name. Dominique Feels Amé. I'm sorry, I ruined your name, Dominique.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
Floaty. I'm a sucker for vocal harmony. Like any artist who stacks their own vocals, interesting. You got me. I'm halfway there. And she does a lot of that, and it's percussive and close harmonies, seconds and fourths, and all that cool stuff.
Yeah,
I like that kind of stuff. And then there's just a lot of you come across some pop songs. You're like, oh, that's a cool song.
Right.
But yeah, things don't stick like they used to, and that's
Sure.
just life.
It's life, man.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny what you're saying with that, because like the first albums that I bought many, many years ago, I can still like recite to you the order of the songs on what's on side one, what's on side two, how long each of the songs is, because all that stuff was there on the record, or on the label. And it's just now with so many, I'm talking about this Smile album. I'll just mention it one more time. It's like, I like it so much, I keep making a point to look at the titles of the songs.
Yeah,
and I keep immediately forgetting it.
Yeah.
I've played this album now like 4 times, and it's like the third song, and I'm like, yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's it called again? Yeah,
that short term is what goes first. It's going.
It's true, man. I take set lists with me to shows, even of artists I know well.
Yeah.
Because my brain's gonna, and I'm gonna forget something, or I'm gonna,
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah. And I'm curious about your take on this. I was talking with some musicians that I work with, and we're friends, and I posited the idea that right now in the world of pop music, that the main innovations now are production and technical ones. And so like a lot of songs that you look online and they have 9 million hits or whatever on YouTube or whatever, they're interesting tunes, but they don't necessarily, like, you couldn't pick up a guitar and play them, or sit down at a piano and play them, whereas, back in my day, it was like songs, had a riff or a melody or whatever. And now so much of it is almost groove, more with the whole
groove and beat and that, that sound of the baby crying that comes every 4 bars is the hook. And you're like, well, I can't play that on guitar.
Right.
And sometimes there's like 3 producers credited on
sometimes, most of the times these days.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
4 producers, 5 songwriters.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a whole.
And especially in pop, there's it is a cadre of people making those hit songs.
But in a weird way, it's back in the past. It's back into the pre-rock past. That's how songs were. I mean, it was like there were songwriters, Tin Pan Alley. There were guys that got together and they sat around and they wrote songs, and then people recorded them and they became hits. And that's kind of what's going on now.
Been the same thing in country forever.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Do you think, since you mentioned country music to me seems to be the most sort of genuinely popular genre of music right now, like if you just go and name 10 artists that are going to fill stadiums, and this isn't
but it's like a wide genre there, that it's not 10 years ago what's in the country now necessarily wouldn't have been in there.
Oh no, country music now is most of it sounds kind of like a lot of rock music.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's not,
So that category is like, well, I guess you still have to have that category.
Yeah, they do.
They throw everybody in. They throw everybody in it now.
Yeah, I mean, if you wear a cowboy hat, and that's kind of half of it right there.
I didn't mean to interrupt what you were saying, though, about.
Well, I'm just wondering if I'm accurate on that or not. I mean, it just because there's a whole huge audience for that stuff, and a lot of these artists, I have no idea who they are because I just don't listen to. It's almost become a cliche, Well, I don't like the new country music. I like the old, real, well, that's me. I love Hank Williams. I love Merle Haggard. I love Johnny Cash, but I don't particularly, and I like the Americana kind of groups, a lot of them. But yeah, what really is the true, quote unquote, untrue country music? What is billed as being country music, and that fills stadiums and stuff? Most of those people, I don't know anything about them. I mean, what I've heard, I don't particularly care for.
Country audiences are very, very, very loyal.
Yeah.
And they'll spend money.
Yeah.
I spent, in my Beacon days, Blossom was 50% country. The summer scheduled to be 50. I saw a whole lot of country folks.
Yeah.
And they come out and they sing and they get drunk and
right.
Look at me like, what the hell are you doing here? And they keep moving.
Yeah, it's sort of the bro country thing, I guess. Is what I'm getting at.
There was that.
Yeah.
Although, since you brought that up, and you were talking about, again, country music writers are professional songwriters. They write with intention.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're doing and where everything should be. So during the bro country craze, I don't know, what was that, late aughts, somewhere in there?
Yeah.
When it was really just
2010s,
a bunch
early,
of damn dudes and all taillights in the moonlight and the whole Daisy Dukes thing. Some engineering, some studio smartass put 6 of the top country songs at that moment, all by dudes, on a grid in Pro Tools at 0, hit play, and he was soloing each song, and they were the same damn song. They were the same damn song, same song form. I think at least 3 of them were in the same key.
Right.
All, choruses are all in the same place.
Yeah.
2 of the guitar solos were in the same place and very similar. Like it was, intentional. This is what y'all want. We will give you that.
Right.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to challenge you. Nobody's trying to be different. No. This is what you want.
Yeah.
Enjoy. And they do. And they come and they pay.
Wow.
And you kiss radio's ass and you're a star.
This is where the line about the case of beer comes in,
Yeah. Yes.
So, well, I wasn't arguing for the quality of the music. I wanted to make this very clear. I wasn't saying that it was a vital form of music. I was just saying in terms of
big.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And those guys are great musicians too. That's the thing that I think is kind of not the lead singer guys so much necessarily, but the people who are the Nashville guys and stuff that record that stuff. Those session guys, they're always great musicians.
Yes.
They can play anything.
Yes.
So, but that also gives it maybe a certain soullessness to it. I don't know. Yeah.
Professional.
Yeah. Where we are in music now, it seems to me, I'm just wondering what your take on this is, Malcolm, is it doesn't seem like there's any overriding real creative movement happening. Like in the, it's not every time, but there was grunge, right? Then there was the,
They go before that, like Muscle Shoals, all that stuff.
Well, sure. I mean, there's a whole history of it where there's different kinds of, and then even with different music, different forms of hip hop and stuff would come in. And it's like, it seems right now that this isn't necessarily bad, but it's just that things are very disparate now, I think.
Diffuse.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Does that sound right to you, or?
There are a million pockets.
Yeah.
Of stuff. This thing that tens of thousands of 20-year-olds love.
Right.
Like you see these names and you're like, hey, who the hell is that?
Right.
That person's headlining Jacobs Pavilion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a whole thing now. You're talking about not being able to remember certain new stuff or whatever. I mean, I can look at a Billboard chart now and like the top 20 albums or whatever, and it's like
3.
yeah, really. It's essentially that I will have, heard of half a dozen of them, and the other ones I won't even know who they are. I have no idea, and I'll be like, I have no idea what this music sounds like. It could be anything.
Yeah,
So which brings up a question that is very much pertains to you in your work, which is how is music? How does a band or an artist get attention now? They don't have a record label, most of them now, that is going to be putting out this money, and suddenly they're being featured everywhere.
Right.
But then it's just amazing to me how then you'll be looking on YouTube or something, and it's like, gee, my band has 7 hits, and and it's all the guys in the band have played it once, and 2 of them played it twice. But then you see these other things that'll be like 19 million hits, and it's like, and I've never heard of them. So
there are other ways. TikTok can make you a star. Social media can make you a star.
Yeah.
Like if you hit that thing, if some kid in Alabama does a cool dance to the chorus of your song, your song's now a hit.
Right, yeah.
And good for you. And now you've got these opportunities, and hopefully you know how to work them because you're young and happening and eyes wide and hungry.
Right.
And 2 years later, you're opening for Drake
Yeah.
at Rocket Mortgage House Field House.
He was the first guy that had 1 billion downloads on something. Yeah.
There's a lot of ways, and all the kids know the ways.
Yeah.
And we stand back and go, huh?
Yeah, it does. It is. It fascinates me.
Yeah.
It is like a different world now, for sure.
That has been a hard lesson of getting back after, again, trying to let go pretty much,
Right.
and getting back in. It's now like, oh yeah, I recognize that name. I had no idea you were that famous.
Right,
Like,
right.
I didn't know you were that famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I mean, I almost wonder, like, do you have to play the song the whole way through to have it counted as a hit, or can you just hit it for 10 seconds and then
Well,
it's a hit?
if it's that, if they're doing the thing in that 15 seconds, they're going to stream it.
Yeah.
Then you have 15 billion streams, and you get 10 grand or whatever.
Yeah.
And opportunities start coming. Ooh, I would
Right.
like your song to advertise my toilet paper.
Right.
Hell yeah! Come on, give me that money.
Right, sure.
So there are. I would say there are more avenues, but you have to hustle.
Yeah.
Because
You don't have an A&R hustling for you.
And there's this it's fascinating to me where the world is of the world of popular music is now, because it's like, I mean, you still have all these bands and artists who make albums, yet there seems to be almost a general acceptance that the album is a defunct medium, I mean, and yet so it's almost kind of like that is an old school thing of like, well, I grew up with albums, and to me the album is a great work of art. It's a great thing. It's like a novel, it's like a sequencing of an album is a great thing, but most people don't listen to albums anymore. Most young people don't. It doesn't seem like they do. They just listen to,
certain songs,
which again is going back to a earlier era where that's exactly how it used to be,
Right?
Yeah.
Back in the day,
Right.
It was the 3 singles,
Yeah.
and then an album full of crap.
Right. Yeah. We were talking
before freeform radio.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, we were talking about that the other day, about how like so many of the Motown albums were like
3 singles, covers.
and chunk, like covers of other Motown songs half the time, and it wasn't until Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder really broke out of that and took control of their careers that they made albums as artistic statements, and it was all their own work.
Even the early British bands, like I just bought a CD that had the first two. Well, this wasn't a British band, the Standells, and their first 2 albums are the same way. They have like, other songs from the era on there, like more than half of them on their album. What was the one song we always kid around?
Well, there was between like 1965 or 6 and 69, every album that came out had "Hey Joe" on it.
And this did too.
And which always strikes me as very odd, because the song's about a guy
I shot my woman.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like, why was this appealing so much? I don't know. This is From Akron and Beyond. I am Bob Ethington with my buddy and co-host Nick Nicholas, and we are talking today with Malcolm Abram, who is the music and entertainment writer for Cleveland.com and The Plain Dealer. And happy to have you here, Malcolm.
Happy to be here, Bob.
Have you ever thought of writing a book?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of. Every writer thinks. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Every writer thinks of writing a book. But I've never seriously considered that undertaking.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't have the concentration.
Yeah.
Just gonna veer off into something else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to writing sizable chunks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're getting plenty of writing to do, right?
Yeah.
It seems like your life story could be interesting, though.
Parts of it.
Yeah.
From Macon to Akron.
Yeah. Don't use that as a title. That's not going to sell anything.
It won't sell, yes.
Now, as entertainment, I'll confess, I've noticed your music writing. Do you ever write about?
I mostly do music.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Yeah.
Something else is needed. Entertaining.
Right.
I will do that.
Right.
But there's plenty of music, so.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know if occasionally you were pulled in to write about a movie or something.
I know that Bob Marley biopic's coming out.
Oh, okay.
I might end up doing that. And it'll be something like that.
Music Connection, yeah.
And the Keys got a documentary I'll eventually see.
By Keys do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Premiering at South by Southwest.
Oh, really? I'm in the dark about this. I hadn't heard a thing.
What's with this Devo documentary just was at Sundance? Do you know anything about
also that?
Yeah. I don't. I know it's getting very good reviews, advance word, and it's interesting because we had the guys who wrote the book on our podcast, Jade Dellinger and Dave Giffels, and Bob Lewis too, who was an early member of Devo, was on our show. And I'm curious if they knew that this documentary was happening, because it's about the exact same time frame that their book is about.
It was never mentioned, but we never talked about it.
And so I'm curious. I'm going to have to do some investigative reporting on this. Get back to you on that. I am curious.
As I recall, I don't know what Giffels said, so maybe I'm talking out of turn. As I recall, the Devo guys weren't super happy with that book.
No, but I don't think they like it much when they're not in total control or whatever the message is. So yeah, I think they had more of that on this movie, maybe. So
yeah,
because they seem to be promoting it, as opposed to the book. But whatever. Well, in the book. I don't know. Well, we'll have to see the movie. We can't. These are comparisons I can't make until I've actually seen the film. But the book was quite frank about certain members of the band and stuff with Bob Lewis and the lawsuit and all that stuff. I'm not sure if that'll be in that documentary or not. I have a feeling it won't.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Time has passed.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. So. Are there any concerts coming up that you're seeing? How's that work? Do you just I
got Madonna and Drake are the next two I'm going.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Well, it used to be.
I mean, do you know way ahead of time what you're doing, or does it kind of spring up?
I mean, as we get the release.
Yeah.
Hey, Drake's coming.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm probably going to Drake.
Right.
So there's that, and then there's me and Pete, and there's a couple of freelancers, and everybody. I got first right of refusal, and we figure it out. But yeah, because the summer is just insane. I mean, 3, 4. Well, I don't do 4, but I've done 3 in a week. 2 days of a music festival. Oh, that's not fun in your 50s. Sorry. That's not a good time in your 50s. I mean, again, the music, but you're 7 hours. You gotta drive out there and you're walking around for 7 hours.
Right. In the heat.
And then, and it's uneven ground. And sweaty kids putting their arms on you and stuff. And then you got to drive back. Like, that's not as much fun as it used to be.
I know.
Yeah. So, the whole thing is more tiring, but I still love going to shows.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of good shows.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that aspect of it seems super fun, but I can understand what you're saying too. Right? It's work too.
Yeah. It is work.
Yeah. And what kind of deadlines do you have? You
overnight.
So so it's kind of
days.
So
it could be an 18-hour, 20-hour day for you. Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift was an 18-hour day.
Yeah.
Because I had to finish that by 4 a.m. So that was, and it took forever to get out of there. Took forever to get in there. Took forever to get out of there. And then you got to go back to the Airbnb and pound it out.
Right.
The beer and some Wendy's. Because that's the only thing I could find next to the Airbnb. That was a long-ass day.
Yeah.
Rock Hall, that's a long day.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole ceremony and stuff. Yeah. And, of course, are there politics involved? This is a ridiculous question. I know the answer. I don't know why I'm asking it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are there politics involved in writing about music? And if the Rock Hall is something where everyone is going to want their everyone has these strong feelings about who's in, who isn't in, why hasn't so and so ever gotten in, right?
How could this person who influenced this person not be in before that person?
Yeah, right. So, but that's kind of like an overt example. But when you're writing, I guess you have to just be as honest as you can be in your talking about or writing about any band that you watch or any artist that you see, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum knows not to take personally what I might say about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foundation, because as they are separate, obviously connected, but separate entities with separate goals, and separate duties to their constituencies, their relative, constituencies. So it's fine.
Yeah.
So
you're being pretty politic right now.
No, I'm just saying. If I'm like, Courtney Love's right, Boomer Tune.
Right.
I'm not going to have to explain myself to Greg Harris. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Bye, Jan. I'm not going to kick me out of the Rock Hall for that.
Nick, I still feel like you're not saying enough. I'm dominating this way.
Listen. Oh, were you here? Were where any shows were still being put on at the Rubber Bowl?
No.
Okay.
No.
Past your...
That is before my time.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a fascination with the Rubber Bowl among certain people of a certain age. I never went to a show there.
Really?
But no. I'm of the age that I could have, but I just never
You weren't
did.
at Stones in 72 like
I was
apparently 5 million other Akronites?
Well, no, and I think I've maybe mentioned this before on the show, but I always, because I do, it amuses me anyway, which is that I remember when the Stones were on that tour in 72, and my attitude about them was, man, they're over.
They're just about done.
They're just too old. Yeah. It was like, I mean, I kind of had given up on them after Exile and Goat's Head Soup came out, and I didn't like that album. And it's just so funny to think, because they've only gone on now another 50 years since then.
I will be seeing them this summer.
Yeah.
One of my 2 stadium shows so far.
I mean, I used to go to Rubber Bowl for all the sporting events and stuff like that, but the 2 non-sporting events I was at, there was the Stones in 72 and a rodeo.
Rodeo's a sporting event. Sports entertainment.
Yeah.
That inspired you ever since, right?
And
how much were tickets at Stones at the Rubber Bowl?
I don't remember that, but I remember seeing Pink Floyd a number of times for $3. A Case Western, and the Kinks for $3, and those I remember.
Well,
I think some of the Civic Theater shows were $6 and $7.
Yeah, well,
the Animals.
We've talked about this, I believe. I was, a huge Wings fan, Paul McCartney and Wings, and when they went on that first tour that ended up the Wings Over America album and all that, they played at the Coliseum, and I remember that the now defunct Coliseum in Richfield, and I remember hearing that they were coming, and I was really excited. And then I found out that the tickets were $10, and I was like, I wouldn't pay $10 to see, and it had to be the Beatles getting back together before I'd pay. Because you'd see all the biggest bands of that era, like a Led Zeppelin or something, The Who. Those tickets were like $4, $6.
They're all cheap. I mean,
Yeah.
Every kid could afford to go to a show.
Yeah. Yeah.
$4 is now one of the 5 convenience fees you are charged.
When
you buy a $70 ticket
in
the nosebleeds.
Yeah.
And the surprise pop-up fees that keep coming up,
You're right. Well, I know. It's ridiculous. They claim they were dealing with all that in Congress and everything else. I haven't noticed any changes that are significant.
There has been none.
Yeah.
Tickets are expensive.
Yeah, right. They're going to stay that way.
Whether we like it or not.
Right. Well, this has been From Akron and Beyond. Our guest has been Malcolm Abram, the music and entertainment writer for Cleveland.com and The Plain Dealer. Malcolm, thanks for being on with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Curious about your career and your jobs and what you're doing now, and it's been fascinating to learn about that.
Fun.
Yeah. And so on the behalf of Nick Nicholas and myself, Bob Ethington, thanks, and we'll see you next time.